Good evening, everyone. This is your host of the evening, Brahmajit Mahapatra. It's a great pleasure of mine to welcome you all to one of the most awaited event on behalf of AWS Cloud Community LPU. We bring you the AWS Engage, a platform where you can learn and explore the AWS from scratch. Before beginning this session, let's have a chit chat. So where are you guys from? How was your day? Good. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mansi. Good evening, Santosh. Good evening, Ashok. Good evening, Shivam. Good evening, Sachin. So what you guys are waiting for? Like, what's your expectation from this event? Do let us know. Good evening, Harnit ma'am. Yeah, we all are really excited. Oh, you guys are from Jalandhar. How many of you are from Jalandhar? Okay, we have an international student also. Oh, great. Have you ever visited to LPU? Good evening, Abhinav. Okay, we have ma'am from Hoshiarpur, Punjab. We have Shivam Mishra from Hyderabad. We have Harsh from Pagwada. And there are many more freshers out here, those who have never visited LPU. I'm telling you, LPU is a great place to be in. And you all will be really fortunate and would love to have time spent in LPU. Okay, we have people from Bihar, Pune. Yeah, lockdown times. Okay, we have people from Gujarat also. We have people from Jammu and Kashmir. I guess all over India is really excited to witness this event. Oh, great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Akras. So, do any one of you know about what is this AWS Cloud Community is all about? Or have you ever witnessed any of the competition or webinar we conduct here? Okay, we have people from Telangana also. Welcome, everyone. Oh, thank you. Okay, great. Okay, it's the first time. Yeah, I'm from LPO only. I'm in third year of BTech MBA integrated. We will definitely meet one day if college reopens soon. How we are going to get attendance? Okay, for attendance thing and for e-certification thing, you need to attend the whole event and we can give you the feedback link in between. It could be in middle or it could be in the end. And it would be, you have to fill that form within 30 minutes and depending on that only, you will get the e-certificate. So just make sure you are totally active in this event. Yeah, Mohammed, we are also excited. So let me tell you about what is this AWS Cloud Community LPU is all about. What is its motto? What is its vision? What we are doing here? So AWS Cloud Community LPU empowers all willing students and shape a community where everyone is responsible, dedicated, and also ready to explore and experiment new possibilities using AWS platform. This community aims to reach out to the maximum number of students, making them aware of the AWS community. Also, we are here to guide the students and make the community much more stronger. We also organize frequent workshops, competitions, and everything is done by the member of the community. These workshops teach attendees how to make the best and efficient use of this amazing platform. Talking about the event today. Today we have four eminent and knowledgeable speakers present in this house with us. We have Rajit Paul. He is the community lead of AWS LPU community. We also have Garvit, Christina, and Santosh. They are the core technical members of AWS Cloud Community LPU. And I'm sure that they will guide you through the basic and will make sure that you love the AWS platform. So talking about the event and the schedule we are having, our evening will start with the introduction to AWS, followed by AWS VPC, EC2, then AWS RDS, and then VPC Pairing and RDS connectivity. We would also be having question and answer session in between each session. You all could write down your queries in the chat section. You can just write it down in between also. Our speakers would love to clarify your doubt. We all are very happy to have you all on board with us. If you have any query regarding the like how you could give the chat section or anything, you can just ask me now. After that, we would love to proceed with the event. How can we join your community? Oh, great. You can join us through LinkedIn. You can join us through Telegram. We will share the link with you all, like where you can get connected with us. And after that, there are many more recruitment drives. From there, you can join us to the core team. English speaking knowledge is awesome. Thank you, Amit. Yeah, sir, want to come to university? I am fresher and we still not seen our university. Uh, Rahul, to be honest, I'm also waiting that when this all lockdown thing gets over, I'm also waiting to step back into the university. I'm really waiting for it. Okay, do any one of the participant have any query regarding how to join or any query regarding the AWS Cloud Community LPU? How to get certified by AWS? What is the process? Oh, well, Abdullah, we have speakers coming up further. They will guide you through the process and what is AWS in basic means. And just stay connected with us and you will get to know everything. Any more questions, participants? Okay, so I guess we are all ready to go with the event. Yeah, much more love. And I'm really excited to see how it all goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an awesome event. And as I mentioned you that we have great eminent speakers with us present. So let me present you the first speaker of the event, Christina Barua. She is a core technical member and the marketing head of AWS Cloud Community LPU. Christina possesses a great leadership quality and she believes in teamwork and is an incredible asset to our community. She will be covering Introduction to Cloud, Regions and Availability Zones, Introduction to EC2, also make you go through the basics of RDS and VPC. So stay tuned and watch this session with enthusiasm and eagerness to learn. I invite Christina Barua. So ladies and gentlemen, make a grand round of applause for her. You can just do it like a clapping emoji in the chat section and welcome our first speaker of the event. So, Christina Barua, welcome.
Thank you, Brahmajit. Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would be presenting some of the basic concepts of AWS. For that, let me just present my screen, uh, and you guys can just confirm if it's visible. So, may I know if it's visible?
Yeah, Christina, it is visible.
Okay. Thank you so much for the confirmation. So yeah, as Brahmajit told you already, what I will be talking about, I will be talking about the fundamentals of AWS and have a theoretical approach towards today's presentation. I'll be starting with cloud computing and then gradually moving on with AWS and some of its services. And later on, we will be having the demonstration for the same. So let's begin. I hope everybody is excited, right? Okay. So the first thing is introduction to cloud computing. So, what do you actually understand by the terminology of cloud computing? So, as the PPT goes, it says that cloud computing refers to the on demand delivery of the IT resources and applications via the internet. With cloud computing, instead of having to design and build your own data centers, we access a data center and all of its resources via the internet, allowing us to scale up or down based on our actual needs without having to plan for the worst case scenario. Now, what does this actually mean? It means that you do not have to design or build your own data centers. Rather than that, you can just hook up to the internet and you can access the data centers and their resources and get your work done. Also, as per your need, you can change your requirements and pick up the resources that you want and you do not want. Not only that, cloud computing also helps you to reduce the risk by being able to develop agile resources that's being able to learn and quickly adapt to changes. Cloud computing allows enterprises to respond quickly and elastically to changing marketing conditions. This facilitates scalability, agility, and innovation. The user can access the data of the cloud or upload the data to the cloud from anywhere just with the help of a device and a good internet connection. Now that you have understood more or less about what actually the cloud computing means, let us have a look at the attributes of cloud computing. So here are some of the attributes of cloud computing. The first point says that cloud computing is providing developers and IT departments with the ability to focus on what matters most and avoid undifferentiated work like procurement, management, and capacity planning. So, actually, what happens is that being a developer as ourselves, we can simply do off with the management task and planning of the capacity and worrying about the storage. So that way, if we are using the cloud computing technology, we actually have, the reduction of our tension. We do not have to worry about the maintenance or the management. So it provides us with a seamless, effect of deploying our services and getting our work done. Not only that, but also in cloud computing, the users have to pay only for the services or the space that they utilize. So you basically do not have to worry about what all services are actually available in the data center, but you have to pay only and only for the services that you are using. Also, each type of cloud service and deployment method provides you with different levels of control, flexibility, and management. So, that is the entire concept of cloud computing. But if you ask me which service provider to actually use for while moving into the cloud computing technology, I would obviously say that it is the AWS. We prefer AWS because of its numerous reasons, and also I will be talking about some of the benefits that you will be getting while using AWS over other platforms. So let us first understand what actually AWS is. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, which offers a broad set of global cloud-based products, including compute, storage, databases, analytics, networking, mobile development tools, management tools, IoT, that is Internet of Things, security, and enterprise applications. With AWS, we can access the servers, databases, storage, and high-level application components in just seconds. So basically, AWS is such a wonderful service provider, I would say, that makes your cloud computing journey very, very smooth and very, very easier, especially when you are new to this concept. So it becomes really easy for you, okay? Not only that, but also scalability, agility, elasticity, reliability, and fault tolerance are the prime pillars of AWS. So that's a basic reason why we prefer AWS. Now let us have a look at other features of AWS. You might still be having a query in your mind that why am I saying that AWS is the best of the all and stuff like that. Don't worry, I'll be explaining you why I'm saying that. So here you can see that there are numerous points why to use AWS, right? Excuse me. The first point is that it provides most functionality. Second, it has the largest community of customers and partners. Third, it is more secure. Next is fastest pace of innovation. And last but not the least is that it has most proven operational expertise. So let us understand each of this terminology, what it means to say, okay? So first thing is that most functionality. Of course, AWS has the significantly more services and more features within those services than any other cloud providers. Okay. Next is largest community of customers and partners. AWS has the largest and most dynamic community with millions of active customers and tons of thousands of partners globally. Obviously, because they all trust AWS and they want their work to be done in the smoothest possible manner. Next is the security. I already said that these all partners and customers trust AWS because of its security factor. AWS is architectured to be the most flexible and secure cloud computing environment available today. Also, if you are an innovative person and you have new ideas in your mind, then AWS is just the platform for you. It has the fastest pace of innovation. With AWS, you can leverage the latest technology to experiment and innovate more quickly. Also, it is the most proven operational. It has the most proven operational expertise. AWS has unmatched experience, maturity, reliability, security, and performance that you can depend upon for your most important applications. So that is all about AWS. And that's why we all prefer AWS over any other providers. Also, now that you have understood about AWS, you must be obviously wanting to work with AWS and start building in the cloud. But before doing that, I want to explain you a very important concept of AWS, that is the AWS regions and availability zones. Now, what are this actually? So since we were talking about the data centers, so it has to be available somewhere, right? And when we talk about AWS regions and availability zones, we actually intend to mean that where are these data centers and resources actually available, okay? So here, as it is written, it says that AWS regions are geographic areas that host two or more availability zones and are the organizing level of AWS services. when you deploy resources with AWS, you will pick the region where those resources are located. Obviously, you have to first figure out where these resources are actually available. Only then you can, create your instances, or you can just deploy the services. So that is the basic concept of AWS regions. Also, AWS now spans over 24 geographic regions around the globe and has announced to plan for 3 more AWS regions, namely in Indonesia, Japan, and Spain. So here is a pictorial representation of the same. You can see that this is the map of the entire world. This is the global map, right? And here you can see some blue circles as well as some red circles. The blue circles are these regions that we have been talking about, and the red ones are the upcoming ones. As we saw that the 3 regions are Indonesia, Japan, and Spain, right? Okay. So moving on to next is AWS Availability Zones. Okay. So even though we have regions, but for deploying our services and constructing our application, we have to consider the data centers and where they are actually available. So these are also known as the AWS availability zones. Okay. So availability zones are the collection of data centers in a specific region. Each availability zone is physically isolated from others but connected by a fast, low latency network. Each have their own discrete, uninterruptible power supply outside the backup generator, cooling component, and network and connectivity. So since we are not having any of our infrastructure on our own, rather we are relying on the internet services. So there has to be somebody or some provider that has to take control of all those things, right? So Amazon Web Services does all these things for us. Okay. Also, isolating the availability zones means that they are protected from failures in other zones, which ensures high availability. So basically, this point can be depicted pictorially here. In the first case, everything is working completely fine. Okay. Here we are having the uninterrupted working, and we are having all the zones working perfectly. But in the second case, it's not the same. Here, there is failure in the other 2 regions, but that does not mean that your availability zone, the one in which you are working, will be stopped. It's not going to get affected by the other regions that has failed to work. So basically, it's kind of a protection towards your work or towards your services that you're working on, right? So that's all about the availability zones. Now that you have understood about the availability zones and cloud computing and stuff like that, so you must be having a question in your mind. Isn't there any service or isn't there anything that you can do practically, right? So don't worry, we'll be talking about some of the services here. The first one is EC2. The EC2 is actually infrastructure as a service. Okay, so we always, when we talk about the cloud and cloud computing, these things storage as a service, platform as a service, then infrastructure as a service, these all things get into our mind, right? So obviously it makes sense. So first thing that we are going to discuss is EC2. But what actually this EC2 means, right? So as you can see that, excuse me, EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, right? So yeah, Amazon EC2 provides you the scalable computing capacity in the AWS cloud. It provides you the complete control of your computing resources and lets you run them on AWS computing environment. Now, you do not need to worry about the upfront cost of hardware. Now, the thing that I spoke here, what does this actually mean? Let me tell you that by using Amazon EC2, it actually eliminates your need to invest in the hardware. Okay, so you can deploy and you can develop your applications way more faster. You can also use the Amazon EC2 to launch as many instances or as many virtual services as you want, according to your need, obviously. You can configure the security and networking and manage the storage for the same. Okay. So Amazon EC2 enables you to scale up and down or to handle changes in the requirement or spike in the popularity, obviously, and it reduces your need to forecast the traffic. So the thing that I spoke is exactly written here, that you can launch as many or as few VMs or instances that you want in just a single click. Okay. So what is this VM? Actually, VM stands for virtual machine, which we also alternatively say as instance. You will be knowing about it in some time as we proceed further in the session. All right. Yeah. Next point is that no longer need to worry about the hardware cost. Obviously, since we say that EC2 is an infrastructure as a service, we do not have to worry about the hardware, and so we do not have to worry about the cost for the same, right? Then we have to focus more on the development and deployment. Obviously, since we do not have the burden of management and cost and everything of the hardware, we can simply focus on our development and deployment. Also, you pay only for what you use. You do not have to pay for anything else. You just have to pay only and only for what you build. Okay. So that's all about the EC2. However, there are certain features of EC2. So let us have a look at some of the some of the features of EC2. The first thing it says that EC2 has different types of AMIs, that is Amazon Machine Images, and we can choose custom AMIs as well. So what are actually AMIs? Let us consider AMI as to be specific type of virtual application which we can use to create a VM, that's the virtual machine, in the Amazon EC2. Okay, so we can basically consider it to be in that sense. Now, what this means is that this AMI are actually like pre-configured templates for your instances that package the bit you need for your server, including the operating system and additional software. Okay. Next point is that it is resizable compute instance. So basically the instances that you create using EC2, you can actually resize them. Okay. Obviously you can scale up and down. That's what it means. Second thing is that various kinds of instance type based on your use case. So depending upon what all use cases you are using for creating the instance, your type of instance varies. Okay. Actually, what happens is that when we talk about instance type, it basically refers to the various configurations of the CPU, then memory, then storage, and also the networking capacity of your instances. So depending upon these factors only, the type of the instance can vary from each other. Okay. Next is, we just said that you can launch more than one instance at a time, obviously. Next, we'll be talking about the storage, that is EBS volumes. Okay. So what does this EBS volume actually mean? The full form of EBS volume is that Amazon Elastic Block Store. So it is basically something like you can think it to be the storage is concerned with the EBS volumes. Okay. So what happens here is that the storage volume for the temporary data that's deleted when we have stopped, hibernated, or terminated our instances, that instance is known as the stored volumes. Okay. Now, the persistent storage volume for our data that we have been using is only considered as the EBS volume. Okay. So while we are talking about the volumes and stuff, what happens is that the multiple physical locations for your resources, such as the instances, are already discussed as the availability regions or zones that we have talked about. Next is auto scaling. So auto scaling means that we can keep change our instances that we have created. We can scale it up and down and handle the changes as per our need. Next, let's talk about the security. For security, we have two things. One is the key pairs, another is the security groups. Okay, so the key pairs are actually used to secure the login information for our instances. AWS stores the public key and we store the private key. So basically, there would be two key pairs, and one would be with AWS and the other one would be with us. Okay. The next is the security groups. The security groups are actually the firewalls that enables us to specify the protocols, the ports, and the and the source IP range that can reach our instances. So basically, the security group is something with which you can protect your instance, I would say. So that is all about security group. Last but not the least is that you can connect to your own VPC. Although VPC will be, covered in more details and depth in later part of this session only. Yet I would like to give a brief introduction of what actually VPC is. So VPCs are the virtual networks that we can create, and they are actually logically isolated from rest of the AWS cloud. However, we can optionally connect to these networks. Okay, so that's all about the features of EC2. Moving on to next is your pricing models. So obviously, since I have been telling you about, you have to pay only for what you use and not pay for the rest of the thing. So while we are, thinking about the pricing models, there are three categories, I would say. First one is on demand, second is reserved, and last is spot. So on demand is what? Like, it allows you to pay fixed amount on basis of hours or seconds and with no commitments, like only and only for the time that you're using your instance, only for that particular time or particular seconds only you have to pay, and you do not have to think about other time when it is not used or something like that. Next is reserved. In reserved, what happens is that you basically reserve a time period, say suppose for a year, for 2 years, 3 years, like that. Okay, so in that case, what happens is that it provides you with a capacity reservation and offers a significant discount on the hourly charges for an instance. Also, it works on the contract terms. So the contract terms can be of 1 year or 3 years, as I have told you. So that is how the reserved category works as far as pricing models are concerned. And last but not the least is the spot. Here what happens is that it enables you to buy to whatever price you want for the instance. If your application have flexible start and ending time, it saves a lot of amount for you. So that is about the pricing model of EC2. Now, since we have talked so much about EC2, there must be some method or there must be some way in which you can deploy, you can just get started with your EC2, right? So here are the 4 steps for launching your first VM or first EC2 instance. So actually what happens is that, creating an instance is very easy. AWS provides all the steps in such a smooth manner that, page after page, step by step, that you do not have to think so much about creating an instance. But obviously, you have to have the knowledge of what to do, what not to do, right? So that would be shown in the demonstration today. So, but let me just tell you what are the steps that you need to follow. So there are 7 steps for launching your first VM or EC2 instance. First, obviously, you have to log into your Amazon account, and then you have to choose an AMI. About the AMI, we have already talked a few moments ago. Once you select the AMI, you now have to choose the instance type. Once you select the instance type, now it is time for the instance to be configured. So you basically configure the instance, and once the instance is configured, you add the storage, and then you add the tags, right? About the storage, we talked about in this EBS, right? And tags are basically like the metadata you can consider. So these are the things that needs to be added in the in your instance before launching it, I would say. So once this is done, you have to think about the security as well, if you want to protect your instance. Obviously, for that we have two things. One is the security group, another is the key pair, right? So you have to configure the security group. After you configure the security group, the last step is to finally review the configurations that you have done so far. Once you are okay with it and you feel that everything is perfectly sound and fine, you can just launch the instance. And after doing it, you just have to create the key pairs. As I said, that one key pair will one of the key pair would be with AWS and the other one would be with us to maintain the security of your instance. I hope you have got quite a bit of knowledge for the EC2. So next is our RDS. Now, what is actually RDS? It is not so complicated. It is just the database service of AWS, I would say. So if you're handling a very big organization or a company where data means so much, and proper storage needs to be done for the data, then obviously we would prefer that uh, you should use the RDS, AWS RDS database. And you can see here there are 6 options of RDS database available. First one is MySQL, which is quite popular. Then PostgreSQL, which is again one of the most popular. Microsoft SQL Server, which is again one of the popular this options. Then we have Maria database, Oracle database, and Amazon Aurora. So these are all the 6 RDS database options that are available, and you can pick any one of them for creating your database engines, right? So that's all. And here are some of the benefits of using Amazon RDS. But before we get started with the benefits of Amazon RDS, I would just like to give a brief introduction to what actually Amazon RDS means. Okay, so Amazon RDS, or I would say the full form as Amazon Relational Database Service, is a web service that makes it easier for us to set up, operate, and scale a relational database, where in the AWS cloud, it provides cost-efficient, resizable capacity for an industry-standard relational database and manage common database administration tasks. So this is what Amazon RDS actually means. But now you will be telling me, why do we use only Amazon RDS and not others? So here you can see that we have 3 most valuable benefits of Amazon RDS. First one is highly scalable. Second one is it is way much easier to administer Amazon RDS. And last, obviously, the security, right? So let us tell you in more details about each of this. First one is highly scalable. You can scale your database compute and storage resources with only few mouse click or API calls, often without any downtime. So basically what happens is that while you're working with the service, you do not have to worry so much about storage or anything. If you want to make changes, it becomes way much easier for us to create it and deploy it and work with it. So that's why we call it to be highly scalable. After that, we have easy to administer. Obviously, using RDS is easy to, sorry. Yeah, what I was saying is that Using RDS, it is easy to access the capacity of production-ready relational database in just minutes. So administrating the database is also quite easy because like if you create the database and you're not able to handle your data, then it would be a great problem, right? So Amazon has also thought about it, and it has provided you with great tools and facilities to administer your database in the smoothest possible way. And last but not the least is obviously the security. It becomes very easy to control the network access to your database since you're doing everything on the internet, on the cloud, right? So just imagine a scenario that you are not able to access your database, everything is gone, right? So to ensure that never happens, the security of your database is always with Amazon. So here you can see some of the featured RDS customers. This includes Netflix, this includes Expedia, then Unilever, Blackboard, etc. Why are these customers actually entrusting AWS? Because they know that RDS is such a good option for them to maintain their huge data that they can simply trust Amazon for this. So that is all I would say regarding RDS, and I will be wrapping up here. So thank you so much for listening to me patiently, and I hope I'm able to make you understand something about cloud computing, AWS, and some of its services. So thank you very much, our dear audience. Over to you, our next speaker.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Arush Nikam. I'm currently pursuing BTech CSE from lovely professional university. I'm also a web developer at AWS Cloud Community LPU, and now I'll be further hosting you for this webinar. First of all, I would like to thank Christina for such an amazing presentation on Introduction to AWS. I hope you all must have learned something new and interesting. Give me a thumbs up for that in the comment section, guys. Okay. Okay, so guys, moving on. I would also like to thank my co-host Brahmajit for the great introduction of our presenters and for the smooth start of this webinar. So folks, this is just the start. There are a lot of more interesting things in the webinar, so stay connected. Moving on, we have our next presenter for today's webinar. He is the team lead of AWS Cloud Community LPU. He is an explorer of technologies, with automation being his interest. He has profound knowledge of DevOps, Docker, cloud computing, and mobile development using Flutter. He has developed and deployed end-to-end projects using Amazon Web Service Platform with different technologies. He is also a cybersecurity enthusiast, a technical writer on Medium, and has recently started his YouTube channel. His working experience with various technologies makes him a wonderful community asset. Presenting Mr. Rajit Paul. Over to you, Rajit.
Thank you so much, Arush, for that wonderful introduction. So, yeah, we would start the session without further ado. So, let me just quickly share my screen. Can you please confirm if the screen is visible, Arush?
Yes, it's completely visible. Go ahead.
Right. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining in. It's a wonderful evening, and I am very fortunate and honored to share this platform with you all. So this is the moment we all have been waiting for. AWS Engage is a platform where we wanted to share and communicate with you all. There are very budding enthusiasts of AWS in our university. So we wanted to connect with them and share our experience, whatever we have gained in this tenure of AWS experience, and also want to inspire as well as share with you all, learn from you all, that how we can grow our career in AWS. Right. So without further ado, I'll start the session. So First, let us look at what is Amazon VPC, right? So we already looked at, Christina showed us what is AWS, what is cloud computing, and now we came down to, what is Amazon VPC. So what is VPC? VPC is the virtual private cloud. So if we consider AWS as an ocean, so VPC is an island dedicated to you, an island for your, resources, which is isolated and private, so that nobody from outside can come and, enter your island without your permission, right? So that's what Amazon VPC stands for. It's a service that lets you launch AWS resources in a logically isolated virtual network that you define, right? And it also spans over all the availability zones in the region, right? So we also looked at what are availability zones. So availability zones are, for example, there are multiple regions in the globe which are monitored and maintained by AWS, and all the infrastructure are launched there. So within those regions, it is further divided into AZs, or availability zones, and within those AZs we have our data center. So this is the complete picture, right? The globe divided into regions, the regions divided into AZs, and AZs further divided into data center, right? So a VPC is your particular island or a virtual private cloud that covers all of those AZs. For example, I'm launching my VPC on the Mumbai region, right? So it is region based. I can launch in any of the region. So when I launch my VPC, all my AZs will come under this VPC, right? So it's kind of a private cloud within a public cloud. So the public cloud is AWS, and within that public cloud, you have your own private space, where you can develop your own infrastructure and, use your own resources, so that, nobody without your permission can come inside your restricted area or restricted private cloud. So this is the Amazon virtual private cloud, right? So yeah, moving on, we will see benefits of VPC. So what are the benefits of VPC? So first of all, it is secure and monitored network connections. So all of the established network connections from your VPC are very much secure and are also monitored. So Amazon provides advanced security features that allow you to perform inbound and outbound filtering. What are inbound and outbound? For example, I have launched my web server on the VPC. So for example, I want clients to come into my VPC. I don't want hackers or crackers, to come and break into my a web application or database server or whatever it is. So I can, set the rules. I can set the inbound, outbound permission rules. And AWS allows us to do that. AWS allows us to, monitor the traffic and also set up secure connections for that. Okay. So simple setup and use. So with Amazon VPC simple setup, we spend less time setting up. So as we'll go further for the demo as well, set up our own VPC, set up all the components of VPC from scratch, right? So we will see today how it is done. So it is so simple and so fundamental. So AWS has created it in such a way that, we don't spend much time for the VPC creation. We spend much time on the infrastructure development on the top of VPC. So that, we can particularly define whichever application we want to go for, what the architecture should be like. So that way, we can manage our architecture better. And instead of, giving time for, VPC creation, that is fundamental, that is basic. So AWS has created in that way, right? So another point would be customizable virtual network. What does that mean? It means that Amazon VPC helps you control your virtual networking environment by letting you choose your own IP address range, create your own subnets, and configure route tables to any available gateways. So all of these terminologies, what was the first one? The first one was IP address range. You would be looking at that. What are subnets? You'd be looking at that. And gateways, you also would be looking at that, right? So Amazon VPC helps us, provide us entire flexibility on setting up this virtual networking environment as per our requirement, right? So let us now look at the use cases of VPC. What are the use cases of VPC? The first use case would be, hosting a simple public facing website. So we have our web application. We want to host it on the VPC, right? So what is the extra benefit? For example, I also have my laptop at home. I have my on-premises, data center. I can also launch it there. So what is the use of using AWS Virtual Private Cloud to host my public facing website? So the first use it that you'll gain additional layers of privacy and security provided by Amazon VPC that you won't get in your particular data center, right? So Amazon VPC will provide you the extra layer of safety if you go for the AWS VPC. Also, let us look at another use case, host multi-tier web application. What is a multi-tier web application? A multi-tier web application means a first tier may be front end, another tier may be back end. So there are two different tiers. So it is known as multi-tier web application. We have a front-facing web app and we have a back-end database. So for example, what is the use of VPC in that case? We can also, launch it in our data center. The VPC provides us subnets. What are subnets? We look into it in some time. But what is basically it is doing it is that for the front end application, client can come into that application and can see my website. But I don't want people to come in and see my database server because I have, I'm a banking company. I don't want people to see my database server because all my clients' credentials, information are stored in there, right? So that is why that is where AWS VPC comes in and provides us a private subnet. So a private subnet doesn't allow anyone to come into your VPC and check like what is there in the database server, whatever resources you have deployed there. Backup and recover. What is backup? Backup is, for example, I have my infrastructure launched. So if I do it on my data center, on-premises data center, right? And for example, if a disaster comes and whole data center is damaged, so what happens is that I lose all my data, right? But in here, AWS VPC, what they're providing your resources and your infrastructure is deployed across multiple availability zones. So what is the use of multiple availability zones? The use of that is if one of the data center or if one of the AZs goes down, another AZ is situated 100 miles away from this AZ. So any AZ that goes down doesn't affect the other AZ, right? So this helps us in maintaining the security of the data. And we can back it up and recover. We don't lose our data, right? Another point would be connect. So securely connect cloud application to your data center. I have my data center launched and I have some compliance. My company told me that I cannot use some cloud. These are very secure private database. And I just want my own data center to host this data. And I don't want to put it up on cloud. So what I can do is for the major resources that I require from AWS cloud, I take that. And then I create a VPN, IPsec VPN connection between Amazon VPC and my corporate network encryption and, connect it using that VPN connection. And in between all the communication between my data center and between the AWS cloud, everything on transit is encrypted. That is the use case of IPsec VPN connection, right? So yeah, we looked at the demo, the PPT as of now. We gained some theoretical knowledge. Now let us implement it, right? So this is, my account, and I am using the root account just for this demo purpose. So if you have an AWS management account, the best way to use it is to create an IAM user, right? So we have our YouTube channel where we provide weekly videos, on resources and services of AWS, like creation of IAM user, what is EC2, what is ST, all the basic fundamentals are covered there. So try to go that. We will share the link further in the webinar. Please try to go through that, and it will create a foundation for you to explore. Also, we have our blogs weekly where we present all our information that we can share with you regarding all the AWS services. Okay. So first you create an IAM user, and then you go and access your account, and then you go to services, and in its services there are a lot of services AWS provides, lot of services, right? So in here I have my personal favorites that I use daily. So these are my personal favorites. So I have click this star next to it so I can see it on my favorite section. So I'll just go ahead and go to VPC from here, right? Once you go to VPC, you'll get to this console. So the VPC is software as a service. Okay. So we will go ahead and first of all create the VPC. So as we mentioned that AWS has made this creation of VPC very easy and very fundamental. Okay, so that we don't face a lot of time is not spent on creating this VPC. Rather, we spend time on creating the infrastructure. So we'll quickly go ahead, create a VPC. Now, what is the first thing they're asking us for? They're asking us to provide the name. So for example, we provide a name that I want my name to be this. So for example, this is a demo for the webinar. So I'll provide it demo webinar -VPC. Okay, this is my VPC name. Then what they're asking for? They're asking for IPv4 CIDR block. So what is this IPv4 CIDR block? Okay, so VPC, as we also saw that VPC is a chunk of network range that is provided to you, like a private allocation of network range. Okay, so how we can what is this CIDR block about? So for example, let us go ahead and look into this. So for example, I have this network address. I chose say 10.0.0.0 and this is 16, right? So I update it. Now what you'll see is that that the IP address that I provided, the range rather that I provided with /16, this is the CIDR, classless interless routing domain. Okay, and now in here we saw that the subnet address is this and the net mask is this. So for example, somebody asked me, what is your network name? So before we know the network name, for example, we have our PC. So for example, I have my, I have my OS here, and my OS has some IP. Okay, my base OS. So this is my base OS. It has some IP. So let us see. The IP for this base OS is this one. For example, say it's this one. Okay, 192.168.99.1. So if somebody asks me that, Rajit, what is your network name? Can you tell me? So first, what I need to see is I need to see the net mask. Without this net mask, I cannot see the network name. First, I will see the net mask. And in the net mask, I see that the first three octets are 255, 255, 255. So when the first three octets are 255, means the first three octets are my network name. Okay, 192.168.99 are my network name. And the other, like that is mentioned 0. So in here, like that an IP is of 32 bytes, and each is of 8 bytes. So 8 byte is allocated, another 8 byte which makes it 16 bytes, another is 24 bytes. So I have only 8 bytes left. So 2 to the power 8 means 256 IPs I have left, right? So out of these 256 IPs, if I launch any resources, or if I launch, say for example, another, I have another printer, I have another fax machine, I have another this, another that. So I want to allocate some IP. I have to allocate within this 2 to the power 8, 256 IPs I have to allocate. And within those 256 IPs, some IPs, are usable. There is some term as usable IPs. So all of these 256 IPs are not usable. So AWS provides you, out of this 256 IP, 251 usable IPs. So what are the rest 5 IPs are for? The rest 5 IPs, the rest 5 IPs are for, one is for the network name, another is for the broadcast, another is for the local router, another is for the DNS, and another is for future purpose. If required, they reserved it. So these are the 5 IPs they reserved for their own purpose. So out of this 256, 251 you can use, right? So this is our, as we mentioned, this is our network range. So if somebody asks us what is the network name, so we'll just check the subnet. It's 255.255. So 10.0 is our network name. How many 255s are present in the octet? That many are our network name. So 10.0 is my network name. Okay, and within this, so I have 2 to the power 16 usable, 2 to the power 16 number of IPs I have. That is around 2 to the power 16. We can calculate it, and it will come down to something like I'm not so good with maths, so 2 to the power 16 maybe 256 plus another 256, like that. Okay, so out of those 5 for each octet, so means 10 IPs they will keep aside for some of their own purpose, right? Or five IPs they will keep aside for their own purpose for each subnet. And like for example, as I mentioned, for their like router, this, that, they will keep it aside. So you will have 251 IPs for each of the subnets that you can use. Okay, so let us go back and see what is subnet. I just mentioned subnet now. So first of all, let us give a IPv4 CIDR block. So as we explained in the demo also, like here it's 10.0.0.0/16. So we are going to use that, right? We're going to use the same one. So we'll go ahead. Do you require IPv6 CIDR block? No, we don't, right? So we'll go ahead and, do you require tenancy as dedicated or default? Dedicated is they will keep a separate hardware for us. Like everything will be fresh and only provisioned for us. Nobody will be using that. Default means it's shareable. Like you can also, on the same top of hardware, I can have my own VPC. You can have also your own VPC. So this is meant by default. All right. So we will go with default because this is there is no much sensitive data we are going to store here, or some highly available infrastructure we are going to. So we can go for default. If you have any requirement where your infrastructure is highly available, you cannot have any downtime. So for example, Netflix, Facebook, if they cannot face downtime, right? So for them, they will always go for dedicated because they want their infrastructure always safe and secure, right? So we'll go with the creation of VPC, right? This is that simple. Our VPC is entirely created. We have our island that we mentioned, AWS as the ocean, and our island as the private cloud. We have it, right? This demo webinar VPC, I have my private island here. Okay. So now what I can do is I can add more components to it. We saw one of the components also was subnet. So let us see what is subnets. Okay. So what is a subnet? A subnet is basically, dividing your larger network. So as we saw that we allocated this range to our VPC, means our island is of this range. Okay, if we consider our island as a VPC, our island is of this range. You can consider this as, you know, the area of, or the size of your island. Let's say, for example, it has a radius of 3 kilometers. So this is that size. Okay, and according to a network perspective, this is a network range that is provided to the VPC. Okay, so now we need to divide that island. Now you need to create small blocks of that island. For example, I want to stay in one block, so I'll create this subnet. Another block I'll create for another purpose. Another playground I want to create. Another, you know, like a church I want to create. Another temple I want to create. Another swimming pool I want to create. Another, like, I want to create my own space. So I will go ahead and create, you know, subnets. What are networking perspective? What are subnets? Subnets are like dividing the larger network into smaller chunks of network. Okay, so we'll divide that 10.0.0 this network into smaller chunks of network. So first of all, they'd ask us to select a VPC. So they are first asking, what is your island? So our first island is demo webinar VPC. This is our island. Now within your island,
Rajat, sorry for interrupting. Can you please zoom the screen?
Okay, sure. I'll zoom it. Sorry, guys. I'll zoom it. Is it okay now? Is it okay, Arush?
Yeah, it's completely fine. Guys, please tell in the comment section, is it okay for now?
I am considering that it's okay, right, guys?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we shall zoom it further, right? So they are first asking that, what is your island, Rajit? Where do you want to, you know, create your playground? I'm saying that my island is demo webinar VPC. Please create it there. So they are saying that your island has this much of space. And in networking perspective, your island has, your VPC has this network range. Within this network range, you have to be, right? So first of all, I name it. Say, for example, I name it my public playground. Okay. So do you want to prefer any availability zone? Yeah, I want to go for AP South 1A. So this is one of the AZs. We have 3 AZs in Mumbai region. This is one of the AZs 1A. Okay. Then we have the IPv4 CIDR block. Now the we need to come to the main part. Like within this network range, we need to create a sub network. That is the meaning of subnet. You are creating from a bigger network a chunk of smaller network, which is your subnet. Okay. So this is a sub network. So we need to provide some network range that is within this. Okay, if I go ahead and provide some random, like, you know, 11.0.0.0/24, and, you know, I try to create this subnet, what it will say is that your CIDR or your range or your the playground that you're trying to create is not in your island, or the range that you provided is not within your network range that you allocated for the VPC. So please provide a range that is within your network range, within your island. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, so within my network range, so I'll just provide 10, and let us check if this works. Okay. So what I have provided, as I told you all, that, you know, within for the /16 CIDR block, you know, we have a network range of 2 to the power 16. Host range of 2 to the power 16. So within that, I want to allocate 2 to the power 8 to my network range of 10.0.10. So if we use this and, you know, we paste this here, and, you know, we provide that 24 here, let us see what we get. Okay, so instantly it changed. The net marks changed from just 2 octets of 255 to 3 octets of 255, right? So if somebody asks, what is your network name, right? So we can say that 10.0.10 is our network name. Okay, and what are the usable IPs? So as we launch the EC2 instance within the subnet, we'll also see what are the usable IPs. So for now, just consider that we have 2 to the power 8 host we can allocate, and within that 5 are reserved by AWS. So we can go for 251. This is not mentioned in you know, respect to AWS. This is just mentioned generally, because usually the two IPs that are allocated are generally, the one is the broadcast, that is 255 10.255, and 10.0 is the network name. So that is why they have allocated 2. But for AWS, they allocate extra 3 on top of that, which makes it 5. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create a public playground. As you can see, my subnet is created. So I have my public playground. Okay, So now let us create a private one. So this is a public playground where people can come and play, they can enjoy. But I also want a private playground where I just want to play. I don't want others, or I just want, my own teammates to play, or whatever it is, my own members to play, or whatever it is. Okay, this is my private playground. I don't want people from outside to come in here. So what I'll create a private playground. Okay. So yeah, so first of all, I need to choose, right, this is the space for VPC. So first of all, you need to allocate the island, and then we need to provide the name of the subnet. I am choosing it as private playground. Okay. Then we need to go for one of the AZs. So first AZ was selected 1A. In this one, I'm going to go for 1B. Okay. And same the CIDR block, it needs to be within this range. So the first one I provided 10.0.10. So this one I'll provide 20, and go for the /24 CIDR block. All right. So I'll create this, and instantly now I'll just filter it with my VPC, and yeah, let me check. Is this the one that we created right now? Just let me check. One moment. VPC this might be the one. Yeah, this is the one, right? This is the private, and we have another one that is the public. Okay, so these are the two VPCs that we created. Right, so these are the two VPCs that we have. Now what we want to do, for example, we want to create a web server on top of this. Okay, this public playground. So what I need to do is I just need to quickly access the internet from here, or I want people to come and access my web server. So let me quickly launch an EC2 instance. All right. So we already have a video on this, folks. So we'll not be going step by step, because we have other components to show as well. So just I'll quickly move through this. All right. So let me configure the instance details. Now in here I'll choose this demo webinar, my island, and in here I'll choose the public playground. As you can see, it clearly says that I have 251 IPs allocated. So out of 256, 5 IPs are allocated for AWS purposes, and other 251 IPs I can use. All right. So we don't need to do much now. In here we'll just provide a user data, which is this is the shebang interpreter. Just so to confirm, Arush, can you confirm me my start time? So because I have an assumption of how much time do I have for this demo. I feel it's around 5:50 that I started. Was that it? Can you please confirm?
Yeah, exactly. 5:50
okay.
was.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So yeah, we'll go through this, right? So then what we need to do is providing the shebang interpreter, and I want to install a package. What I need to install, I need to install a Apache 2 package. All right. And then what I need to do is I need to configure, put some data into it. Okay. So I'll just use the echo command and put some data into it, the typical hello world, and inside the document root of the Apache package, right? So we'll put some data into it. Say for example, I need a file index.html. Okay. And then what I need to do is I need to start the services. So that is completely it that we need to do. Okay. So yeah, this is done, and let me provide sudo as here as well. Okay. So this will configure our web server. Okay. So we don't need to do much here. So we'll just go ahead and add storage. 8 GB storage would do. A root for installing my OS. Then we'll go add a tag. For example, I name it web OS. All right. And then I'll configure the security group. And in the security group, let me provide SSH from anywhere. Anywhere, because I want to connect it through the browser, and also I'll add rule for the HTTP, and I'll also provide anywhere because I want clients to connect to my web server. So I'm not going through all of this because we have already created a video for this. We'll share you the link, so please go through the same. All right, and I'll quickly launch it. And now I need to use a key, so I'll go with this same key. Okay, so I'll launch this instance. So meanwhile, it'll take some time to launch. So meanwhile, what we'll do is we'll go back to the presentation, and we will go forward, right? So we already saw what are subnets, and while creating a VPC, we can add one or more subnets in each availability zones, and within each subnet we must reside at least or within one availability zone and cannot span zones. So our subnetwork, as you saw, it cannot span across multiple AZs. Like we have AP South 1A, AP South 1B, right? So we had our AZs. So if we go back to the VPC section, we can see while we were creating the subnets, as we can clearly see, right, in the subnet section, it has spread across a particular AZ. So in here you can see the VPC, the IPv4 CIDR that we provided, also the availability zone. So this is a particular AZ. So it cannot span across multiple AZs. Okay. Then there is a component known as internet gateway. Now comes the interesting part. So for example, I'm launching my web server. As you can see, I'm launching my web server here, which is the web OS. Okay. So once it is launched, so let us go ahead and see that, if we can connect to and see our web server launch and see the data, right? So just let us go here. All right. So yeah, it is taking some time, maybe because it needs some time to launch. So yeah, so we need clients to come in and hit the web server. So how would they come in? As I just mentioned, previously, as I just mentioned, that if I am creating my own virtual private cloud, if I'm creating my own island, I don't want people to come in. Then again, I'm saying that, I'm launching an instance, I want people to come in. So what is this confusion? So, based on my requirement, as I just mentioned, that I might have a requirement where I want, people to come in and clients to come in and, hit my web server. So in that scenario, I have to allow people to come in, right? So in that scenario, there is a component which is known as an internet gateway, So internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant and highly available VPC component that allows communication between my VPC and the internet, between my island and the internet. So if people or clients want to come to my web server, they can come through the help of this internet gateway, right? So what does the internet gateway serves? It serves the two purpose: to provide a target in my VPC route table. We will go through what is the route table, and also to perform the network address translation. So what is a network address translation? So for example, this is as I shown you previously. So this is my OS. So my OS has a private IP. Okay, this is the private IP for my OS. Right, I have multiple IPs, so this is considered the WL01, my network interface card, and this is my private IP. So a private IP is never allocated to a OS, never allocated, because a private IP is for the OS. Where we allocate the public IPs, we allocate it to the gateway, we allocate it to the router. So my IP that my OS has the private one, the router that I'm using, the gateway that I'm using to connect to the stream, to connect to with you all, is a public IP that I'm using through my gateway or through my router. So that translation, so right, there is some translation happening. So when I'm going from the private to the internet, there is some translation happening from the private IP to the public IP, right? So this translation is done by internet gateway, right? So internet gateway allows us to use this translation, network address translation, for our instances. Okay, assigned a public IPv4 address. Okay, so as you can see now, for example, we'll go ahead and we will see a timeout that it took too long to respond. Why is it so? Because we haven't allocated an internet gateway. See, my VPC, there is no internet gateway. There are two internet gateways that are attached to different VPC. So my VPC doesn't have any internet gateway, right? So like, how would the client come in? I have not provided a gateway or a doorway for them to come in, right? So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and provide a doorway to them. We'll provide an internet gateway. So we'll name it as demo webinar, and let's name it as IGW, internet gateway. You can provide tags. You just have to provide a name tag, and that is it. We'll just create an internet gateway. Once it is done, you'll see that it is detached. The router is there, but you haven't set it up. You haven't attached it to your VPC. So what I'll do is I'll go to actions and quickly attach it to my VPC. All right. Once it is attached to my VPC, so if the island perspective that analogy that we took, so if my VPC is my island, say for example, now I have a boat, or now I have a ship to communicate from my island to your island, to my island to all the other islands. So this is what internet gateway will allow us to do. All right. So once we have attached this, what we need to do after it, we need to go for the route tables. Now let us see what are route tables. Okay. So a route table is a set of rules which is also known as routes. that are used to determine where network traffic is directed. So for example, let me give you an example. So for example, we are going to trek in the mountains. I'm going to Himachal Pradesh, or you all are going to Himachal Pradesh, or any other mountainous area, or any other location for that matter. So first of all, what we will do, we will first of all sit down and plan the route, right? How would you go? What would be our means of transportation? From, for example, my home city is Kolkata. So from Kolkata, I'll plan, like I'll go to this location, then I'll take a train, or I'll take a bus, or I'll take a flight, or I'll take mode of transport and go to a B location. Then I'll take another, maybe I'll take a bus, another plane, another flight, I'll go to another C location. Then I'll take another mode of transport and reach the destination. So this is the route that we need to assign beforehand. This is what the route table does. The route table tells our VPC or our subnet that, if you have some requirement to go to this location, you need to go through this route. So that what we will direct using the route table. So our VPC already has an implicit router, and you use route tables to control where network traffic is directed. There is already a main route table or a default route table, okay, already for a VPC. But if you want to have some further routes, like I want to connect with the internet that I did not have any prior, motto about. So now I want to connect. So I need to set that route. Say for the each subnet, VPC must be associated with a route table. What does that mean is, it means that all the sub networks that we have, and for that we can have particular route tables for that subnet. For example, I have a playground called a private playground, where I want only my team members to play. For example, a corporate company, I have my own particular team working on that project, so I want my particular team to play on that playground. I don't want other people coming in and playing on the playground. Okay, same for the public playground. There is a public playground. I want everyone to play in that playground. So I will provide them different route tables, because same route table won't work for them. So for each subnet, we can have different route tables. And this route tables, can be further classified to main route table, which is associated with a VPC, custom route table that I just mentioned. For private playground, there is a different route. For a public playground, there is a different route. Okay. And then route table association. So for example, I want to assign some component, associate some component with my route table. So we just created an internet gateway, right? I want to use this internet gateway. So I have to assign it in my route table, right? Then we have a subnet level route table. For each subnet, we can associate a route table for that particular subnet. All right. So now let us, we know that what is a route table. Let us go ahead and create one. Okay. So let me see that what route I have. So I'll just, create a public playground route. All right. And the VPC that I need to select is my island. For which route? For example, the ship from my island needs to go to another island. So this is the route that I'm creating it for. All right. So we'll just go ahead and create it. This is as simple as that. Nothing like major to do here. All right. So let me filter it for my particular VPC, so that, let me check. Is this the one? No, this is not the one. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one, right? So this, as you can see, this is the main route table that is allocated by default for my VPC, and this is the public that we created extra. So what I'll say is, I will allocate some routes into it. Okay, I'll go ahead and allocate some route. As you can see, there is already a route. What does this mean? 10.0.0.0/16. So as you can see, this is the same schedule block that we allocated for the VPC, and the target is local and the status is active. What does this mean is that if I want to communicate within my island, within my network range, within my virtual private cloud, I am free to do that. I don't have to worry about all of that, how to communicate within my own private cloud or own island. They already provide a route for that. But if I want to go outside, then I have to provide a route by myself. So this is what we are going to do. Okay. So 0.0.0/0, this is, we are going anywhere to the internet. And what target we'll be using, we just provided, allocated component which is known as internet gateway. We also saw what does an internet gateway do. It helps us go outside our subnet, outside our VPC, and connect to the internet. That is why it is known as an internet gateway. All right. So we already have an internet gateway attack. So we'll use that. All right. We'll save it. So now let us go ahead and check if it provides us some data or our service is active. Okay. So let me quickly change if the configuration is done properly. We will connect, so we can use the browser connect. So it is saying the instance must have a public IPv4 address. So we haven't allocated a public IPv4 address, so this won't work. Okay. So let me quickly launch another one. And let me configure the instance detail. I'll choose my Allen. I'll choose public playground. You can see one IP is allocated to this one that we created previously. So we have 250 IPs left. So now we use the enable. By default, it was disabled, so it did not provide any public IP. And we'll go with create add storage. Okay, we'll add the tags, and we'll just add a name tag. Say my website OS. Okay, it's launched in here. Then we'll configure the security group. We already have a security group for this one. Let me create it quickly. So let me give the anywhere and add a rule for HTTP. I'll allow it 80. Okay, then I'll go ahead and launch it, and with the same EC2 instance key. Okay, so it will take some time. Meanwhile, what we need to do is we need to go for meanwhile, if you have any questions up till now, please tell me. I'll address them, because we are moving into the later part, which is more more fun, more enjoyable, more interesting. So up till now it needs to be clear so that we can move further. So Arush, if you can see further questions, I'll answer them quickly right now. So yeah.
Okay, Rajat. So if any one of you have any queries, any doubts, you can ask in comment section. I will read those one by one.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions, folks? We will have it answered right now, because the next part, we need to be clear with all the things that we saw right now, so that we can move ahead for the next part. Okay, wonderful. I take that as a yes, that you all you all don't have any question. So yeah, let us move
Please
forward.
go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So I'll share my screen one more time. So can you tell me, is it visible, Arush, the screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
All right, thank you so much. So now let us go ahead. So as you can see that I already created a EC2 instance. So let me quickly connect to that. We'll connect to that quickly, and I have two instances running. One of them doesn't have a public IP, so we cannot use that. So this one, I hope there's a public IP attached, right? You can see there's a public IP already, right? So we can go ahead and use that. So I'll quickly launch this instance and connect it. I'll connect to this. So we'll go ahead and connect to this, and let us consider a simple web server on this quickly. So what we need to do is, okay, so it will take some time to launch. Yeah, I feel it's on now. One more retry. I think this will do. Okay, so it basically it takes some time to initialize in the backend. So that is why it is initializing. So that is why it is taking some time. All right. So we'll come back to this later. Let us go now and proceed further. So we saw what is a route table. All right. We already saw how to allocate the routes. So for example, I wanted to provide some route for the 000. We already provided that route. So from my island, I want to travel outside, and outside is the internet, and internet or anywhere is allocated by this serial block. Okay. Then what I need to do is, we just saw in here that we need to associate the subnet to this route table. So that is the exact thing that I want to do. That I want you to use these routes for this particular playground or this particular subnet, which is that this is the public playground. I don't want my private playground to use that, because if I use this for the private playground, other people can come into my private secure area that I don't want. I only want for my public playground. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and provide the subnet association for my public playground. All right, so once it is done, then we proceed, and then we come to network ACLs. Now let us quickly go back and see that if the instance is launched. Let us retry. Yeah, it's launched, right? So we'll go ahead and quickly switch to the root user, and I will quickly install the HTTPD package. All right, so this is basically, I'm setting up a web server, so I'm installing the HTTPD package, and in here I'll just put some comment. We can also use the the bash like the user data that we were provided in the last one. Just to make it quick, I didn't provide any like here, and also to proceed further. Okay, so yeah, so we provided this just now. We need to go ahead and start the web server, right? So once it is started, we have set up a web server on the EC2 instance. And then what we'll do is, let us see we can go ahead and connect to this or not. Let's go ahead and use the public IP. All right. So we can see we can connect, right? This is our website and we have a hello world. Instead of this, you can put your own data, whatever you want. You can have your own website here. Okay. So that is not the important point here. Important point is here only because I have a route set up, then people from the internet, like this is the internet, right? So if you guys go ahead and, I'll show this, the IP is 3.6.92.4. So if you all also want to access, you can just use this IP, it's 3.6.92.84. Just type in HTTP. Just type in HTTP in your browser, HTTP and 3.6.92.84. You all can connect to it, right? So what does this mean? This means that this is my public playground. All of us can enjoy play here. And my website is the playground, for example. So how does this happen? This happened only because I have provided the route and I allocated the internet gateway. All right. Now let us go ahead and go further and launch another instance. And I launch it in my private playground right now. Okay. So I'll go ahead and quickly launch another instance, and I'll for this time I'll launch it on my private playground. So the same AMI I'm going to use, and this instance detail. This all steps are being done and properly explained in one of the videos. So I'll highly suggest you please go through that. All right. And for this one, we would not want any public IP because this is a private playground. So I'll go with disable. And the same I'll go for storage here. And the same I'll go for tags. I'll just add a name tag. This is my web private. Okay. So I'll set up a web server, but it's private. All right. Then I'll so for example, I'll set it for this one that I don't want much traffic. So I'll just, not even SSH. I don't want to. And if I want to do SSH, I just want to do it from my own IP, nowhere else. All right. So now important part comes here is that, for example, if this is a private subnet, so no one could be able to connect to your instance other than, another instance launched on your VPC or on your subnet. Okay. So for this, you have to provide that custom CIDR block. So for example, my VPC range is 10.0.0.0/16. So I'm saying that anybody coming from this range, that is my VPC, please allow them to connect to you. And nobody can connect to you. So anyone from my island, my network range can only connect to my private instance and nobody else. Okay. So we'll go ahead and launch this. Also, one more interesting thing I want to say is that, consider this web private to be, my database server, because there is no point launching web means here database. Okay. Database server, right? So in my private instance, if I want to connect, or for example, if I want some client to connect, they cannot connect, right? I don't want my client to connect. There cannot be no use cases for my private instance for my clients or, from anyone from the internet to connect. But there might be some use cases for, for me to update or upgrade my kernel or upgrade, patches or update some packages. So how would I do that? Like, for example, my use case is here that I am launching a private instance on a private playground. Okay. As I mentioned, a private playground is where I don't want anyone to come and play. I just want my teammates to come and play. That is why I allocated the VPC network range. Right now, the question is, if I don't want anyone to play, but I can have some requirements where, I'm running a OS or a database server. I want to upgrade my packages. I want to, upgrade the kernel, update security changes there. So how would I do? I would require the internet for that, right? Without it, I cannot go for that. So that is where another component comes in, which is known as the NAT gateway. So what does this NAT gateway provide? The NAT gateway provides a enable instance in a private subnet. So this instance is launched in a private subnet. It helps this private subnet instance to connect to the internet or other AWS services, but prevent the internet from initiating a connection with those instances. This is exactly what you want, right? This is exactly our use case, that we want to go to the internet for some use case that we have, but we don't want people from the internet to come to our instance because we don't want them to access our instance. This is our private playground. I want only my members to be there. Okay. So in this scenario, we go for a NAT gateway. And for the NAT gateway, also we need to allocate an elastic IP address. So what is the elastic IP address? An elastic IP address is a static IP address. So for example, this is my private instance, right? So for example, if I go ahead and let us check for the public one, right? So this is my public instance, and there's a public IP allocated to it, right? So if I go ahead and reboot this system, what it will do, it will change or shut down my system and start it again. It will change this public IP. It will change it to another public IP, because when I shut down, the internal the internal instance is completely changed. Only the block or the volume is there. Rest everything is completely changed and provided new by AWS. So that is why they allocate a new public IP. Okay, but now there's a requirement, like I don't want my IP to change. So because this is my website running, and I cannot have clients to come into my website, and then after one day I'll say that hey, listen, no, sorry, I have to restart, or I have to shut down my instance, so I need to change my IP. So please don't go to 3.6.92.84, go to some other IP. So that what that will create, that will create a bad reputation for my company, which I cannot go for it. Okay, so in that case, what I'll do is I go for an elastic IP, and I'll allocate an elastic IP. And from the Amazon pool of IPv4 addresses, I will allocate one elastic IP. Okay, and as soon as this IP is allocated, I can go ahead and associate it. Associate with what? Either you can go for an instance association, or you can go for a network interface association. I will go for an instance association. Which instance? This instance, right? So now I'll go ahead and associate it. Okay, so now as you can see, this is my public IP, allocated elastic public IP. Okay, so if I go ahead and access to that, okay, let me check one more time. The elastic IP in here, let us copy this, and we can do that from there as well. We'll just copy this, right? See, you see the IP just changed. The IP changed from 3.6.92.84 to 65 this IP, right? 65.0.143.149. Now, what is the main interesting thing about this IP is that I can go ahead and connect to my website. But what will happen if I restart or I stop this OS, in the scenario that my IP was to change, my IP would not change, because I have allocated an elastic IP, and this is a static IP. So my clients will always be accessing this IP and getting the website. Either like, it doesn't matter if our instance restart, or if I shut down and start my instance again, I will still be providing my web service using this IP. So this is the use of elastic IP. All right. So we need to allocate an elastic IP to a NAT gateway, so that the IP of the NAT gateway doesn't change. So after we have created a NAT gateway, we must update it on the route table as well. Okay. So quickly go through and let us create one NAT gateway. So a NAT gateway is for our private subnet or private playground. Okay. So let us quickly create one NAT gateway, and I'll name it demo NAT gateway. Okay. I'll select a subnet. So the subnet that I need to select is a public playground. Like, irrespective of the fact that my private playground is going to use this NAT gateway, I cannot put it on my private playground. You know why? Because my private playground doesn't have an internet connection. My NAT gateway requires an internet connection, right? So I need to put it across on the public playground, so that my NAT gateway has a public internet connection, and then I can route my private playground to this NAT gateway and to the internet. So this is why I need to put it on public playground. And then the same, we need to allocate one elastic IP with allocated. So there are some services that I'm using. This service is not free of cost, not is the elastic IP address. All right. So some links are already provided in the feedback form, and the drive link is shared, where all the links related to all our webinar resources are provided there. So please go through this. Also, you can easily go for AWS free tier, where you'll get all the details that you need to know, to understand which resources are free for what quota, and everything is provided here. All right. So please go through this. So let us go ahead and create our NAT gateway. So the NAT gateway creation will take some time. So within this time, let us understand what are NACLs, or network access control list. Okay. So we saw that we have an instance level firewall or an instance level security group, right? That is attached to my instance. So there is some other security as well that VPC provide, is network access control list. What is that? It is an optional layer of security for my VPC that acts as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of one or more subnets. Okay. Network access control list is stateless. We'll come to this. What are stateless? First, let us take a look at network access control list. Okay, if you go here, you can see in the security section there is one which is known as security group that we created. We provided for SSH, we provided for all the other, like allow HTTP, the route and everything. We have another one which is for the network access control list, and this goes by the name of NACL. All right, so consider this as is, like for example, we have our island, right? AWS is an ocean, our VPC is our island, and for example, outside our island we have created a barricade. Okay, we have created a barricade, like if you come to our island, you need to show this identity, then only you can come inside my island. Okay, so that barricade is network access control list. This is the outer level of protection that you're providing to your subnet, to your VPC. Then once they come inside your island, then you have your own own separate areas or playground, your home, your house, your infrastructure, resources. They have another level of security, that is the security group. Okay, so the outer level of security is network ACLs, and the inner level of security is security groups. Okay, so in the network ACLs, say for example, within this, let me check if this is the one that we have for, yeah, this is the one, right? So in here, in the inbound rules, you can see that we are allowing all traffic for inbound. Also, we are allowing all traffic for outbound. Now, if I go ahead and edit some inbound rules, so there is some rule number. Okay, so when we are adding a rule number, so 56, we, for example, add the rule number, and we just allow all traffic from, not all, but source is only from my VPC. My VPC is 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, and it is allowed, and I will save the changes. Okay, so what this will do is, now this will not allow anyone from outside to come to the client. Let us check, let us see if we can come. Okay, maybe this is caching, and wait, so let me check it again. Okay, so let me check the rule one more time. Yeah, this is the rule. So yeah, we are allowing all traffic for this VPC connection. Let me check it. Let me remove the other rule. Okay, and we are just allowing this rule. Okay, let me check now. See, we cannot, right? It is going round and round. We cannot. So this is the outer level of protection that the network access control list is providing, so that, like, if we don't want anybody to come inside our island, then we directly put it on NACL. Okay, in here we directly put it that we don't want anyone to come from outside. Okay, so this is my rule. Just follow this. Nobody should come into my island. This is highly restricted. Okay, but if we have some requirements, so for example, we say that, okay, we are allowing for all. Okay, we are allowing for all, and we save these changes. And now let us once again refresh this, then we can see people can come in. Okay, this is like we are allowing them inside the island. Say for example, now let us go ahead and let us choose our maybe this was the one that was attached to our instance. So we have provided SSH and HTTP. Let me change the inbound rule. Let me delete this. Okay, so now what we are doing is, let me save it. All right, now let us see. Okay, so let me quickly check my instance, which security group I have attached to it, and then we'll go for that security group. We need to change that. Okay, it's launch region 6, right? Yeah, so HTTP is still allowed here. That is why it was providing. So let me go for this, change it, save, and whenever I now, you see it's going round and round, it will not show. This is the previous data, but it is going round. It's reloading or loading. So what is happening? I am saying that, okay, you can enter my island, but inside my island, I have provided another level of security that, okay, you are entering my island, but you cannot enter my house. This is, I will not allow you to do that. Okay, so this is the level of security that we're providing, that you can only, enter the island, but you cannot enter our house. So this is the differentiation, and you can, achieve that using NACLs and security group. So, all right. So yeah, so thank you for joining us. So this was all for the VPC and the VPC creation and NAT gateway. So let me quickly complete this. Let us see, our NAT gateway is still pending. Let me refresh it. Let us see that if it's launched. Yeah, it's available, right? So what we need to do is quickly we'll go to the route tables, and from here we'll go to the private route table, or we'll go to the private playground, which is this, and we'll add a route. And we'll add a route. For that, I want to go to the internet, and for that I will be using a NAT gateway, and the NAT gateway is this one. And but I don't want like clients to come in to my database. Okay, I don't want people to come into my database. That is why I'm using a NAT gateway. I don't want people to come and access my private instance. So that is why I'm using a NAT gateway. So this is how you can set up the NAT gateway. So now if you want to update this instance, create security patches, you can go for that. But people won't be able, or clients will be able to access your instance. So this is the use case of NAT gateway. All right. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any more questions, you can please share this with me on the chat.
Thank you, Rajit, for such a wonderful presentation. Now, guys, if you have any doubts, any queries, you can ask in the comment section.
Please put down your questions, whatever we just went through. You have any questions regarding that, please put them down, and I'll be happy to answer it. Okay, there are some questions. If I'm not wrong, AWS can be used as a backend. Yeah, definitely you can use AWS as a backend. Right, you can use it as a backend. You can launch databases onto it. You can have the web application on your on premises, and you can create the database on the AWS, and connect then through VPN connection or IPsec VPN connection that we saw. All right. Thank you, guys. It's wonderful that you all enjoyed it so much.
Thank you, Rajit, for such a wonderful presentation on EC2 and VPS AWS. So now, guys, we will be having a short break.
We have 1 moment, Arush. We have one more question. We'll just go for a break. We have one more question from hers. AWS works like a web hosting also. Yeah, see, the same thing that I did, the same thing that I did right now onto my EC2 instance. I launched a web server, right? So yeah, it can act as and AWS also have dedicated also services for that. So yeah, definitely it can work as a web hosting platform, you can say. So any more questions, will be taking in the questions for 2 or 3 more minutes. Is it similar to Google Cloud? It depends. Like, it is not at all. Cloud is obviously similar. Say for example, like if I compare one car with the Tesla car, and if I say that are both cars similar, yeah, they are similar, but the features are completely different, right, Sachin? The clouds are almost similar. Microsoft Azure is similar, AWS is similar, Google Cloud, all of them are similar. They are deploying public, they're providing resources to you, and you can buy them, pay like with a payment model of pay as you go, and you can use them. But what is the main important part is that all of their features are different. The way they provide you the service is different. The number of services that provide you is different. So in this matter, AWS is the top of the list. AWS, the way they they interact with their customers, they take care of their customers, the way they solve use cases, the way they solve, they provide services, the number of services they provide, that is entirely different. But similarity on cloud providings, like with GCP Azure, it is almost similar. Alibaba, Oracle, cloud infrastructure, they are all clouds. But the way they operate, the way they provide services, the way they interact with their customers, it's different. But AWS is on top of the list. And it tops the list, and it has been doing this for a lot of time now. Okay. So yeah, just a few more questions, 1 or 2 minutes. We will just go for a break, quick 5 minutes break. Okay. Yeah. According to cost, AWS is good or not? Okay. So it depends, Aditya. You can say that there are, a lot of services that you can get for cheaper on other cloud, but AWS provides you a reasonable price for all of these services. But there are many services that are not available somewhere else only. You cannot go for any other cloud providers because they don't provide that services. But according to cost, AWS is definitely a good choice. So yeah, So you can have your requirements. Based on the requirements, you can go for that, but definitely it's reasonable. And based on your use case requirements also, you can interact with the AWS team. They can find innovative ideas to help you. All right. Okay, so any more questions? We'll address them right now, and we would go for a quick short break.
Okay, so in the starting, some of them had a question regarding
Yeah.
certification exams and is AWS Educate. So I
Okay.
think you
So
guide them once.
yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Arush. So what we would say for AWS certification is that we have created a recent blog on AWS certification. We'll soon be sharing that with you all, and you can go through that. It's completely provided. The whole roadmap is provided, as in how you need to start, the path you need to follow, the resources, everything is provided. So AWS has their own certification platform. You can go ahead and check that. But to prepare for that, all the roadmaps, the links, everything is provided. We will provide you the blog. Okay. And also for AWS Educate, we will share you with a blog where you can see, go ahead and check, or else we'll provide you the video that you can go ahead and check how to create an AWS Educate account. So we'll be providing at the end of the session our links to communicate us within our community. So please go ahead and access those and stay connected with us, so that we can reach out to you and provide all these resources, and you can access them. Okay. So I feel if we are done on this, if you have no more questions, then we would go for a quick little break of 5 minutes, and freshen up a little bit, and then we'll come and resume the rest of the session that we have. Second half contains a lot of interesting facts, lot of more resources and services you are going to see. After webinar PPT, we will definitely provide it. We are trying to create, I will provide it maybe through the slide share, or we will provide this PPT to you. No worries, we'll do it. All right. So, okay. So, any more questions? So, I feel we can go for a break now. So, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for connecting. I hope you enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed like a lot sharing with you all. And thank you so much for connecting. And I'll pass it on to Arush. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajat, for such a wonderful presentation on AWS Vpc and EC2 and such a great Q&A session. So now, after such a great session, I think we all need a short break of 5 minutes. So let me place a timer and present my screen so that we all can get back in 5 minutes exactly. Okay, so anyone confirm, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Arush, it's visible. Your screen is visible.
Okay, so let me start the timer. So I see you soon in the 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. So we are ready to continue with our webinar. Now, Garvit Joshi and Santosh will also be presenting live demonstration on VPC peering. Let me give you a small introduction of Garvit. Garvit Joshi is a core technical member of AWS Cloud Community LPU. He heads the technical division of our community and loves to play around Git and version control. He will be performing live practical on VPC peering. And Santosh is a core technical member of AWS Cloud Community LPU. He co-heads the technical division of our community. He is a data science enthusiastic. He will be performing live practical on VPC peering along with Garvit. So over to you, Santosh and Garvit.
Yeah. Hello, folks. Thank you, Arush, for the wonderful introduction. Yeah. Rajit has explained about VPC, subnet, root tables, etc., and everything related to VPC. So now we are going to see one use case related to VPC, and it will be even more interesting than what you guys have seen till now in this webinar. So I have created a VPC. Just let me share my screen. Just please confirm whether my screen is visible or not. I think it will be visible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have created a VPC in my account and launched an Ec2 instance in that VPC. So I have named it as AWS Engage 1, and I connected to my instance using putty. Yeah, and you guys can connect to can go with Ec2 instance connect as well. It's a single click process. Okay, what we are going to do in this practical is basically here it is. Garvit has created a VPC in his account and he launched an MySQL database in his private subnet. And I have created a VPC in my account, just now I have shown it to you. And I have launched an EC2 instance in my public subnet. And we will now we will install the WordPress in my public instance and we will try to connect to the database which is lying in the VPC of Garvit account. So actually, in real time, it is not possible to connect to something which is private just because we are having a public IP. It's not possible. So we will try to achieve it using the establishing connection between two VPCs in my account and in the VPC which is lying in the Garvit account by the help of VPC peering. Yeah. So here we go. Okay. Our team has created a repository in GitHub for the setup of WordPress. It contains a Python script where you guys can find all the commands written over there for the smooth installation of the WordPress. First of all, in order to run that script, what all we need to have is the Git and Python pre-installed in our system. So we will be installing Git and Python using this command, install Git and Python. And if it, in case if it asks any prompt, just we are giving S.
Santosh, sorry to interrupt, but can you please zoom out your screen?
One second. One second. Appearance. Arush, can you please confirm whether it's fine?
Yeah, completely fine.
Yeah. And we will be running this command in order to install the Git and Python. Install Git Python 3. And we are giving the S as the prompt option. And the next step is we need to clone whatever which is there inside that repository. My team will be sharing the GitHub repository link in the YouTube chat, and just please clone this. Git clone. Yeah. So you guys can see now we have created a directory. Now a directory is created here. We just downloaded whatever which is present inside that repository. So we just need to change our directory to that. Sorry, scripts. This as this is AWS Engage, we are changing it to it. Let me clear my console. Here it is. First of all, we'll just go through the commands which are required for the setup of the WordPress. Yeah. First of all, we need to import the OS module. Like it just provides the functions which are for interacting with the OS. And so first of all, and then we are installing the MySQL server. Again, in every command, we are giving the prompt option as yes, in case if it asks again, as we are completely trying to automate the process. And then we are installing the PHP from the Amazon, the extras library. And we are installing the Apache web server. And finally, here it is. We are running this command in order to get the zip file of the WordPress, and then we will try to, and then we will extract it using the tar. Yeah. So in order to run this WordPress script, first of all, we need to have executable permissions for that. So then just write Python WordPress.py, and it will take a few seconds to get install all these commands in our system. Yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah. Now we need to change the something which is like, just let me. Now we need to head over to that nano etc directory. Sorry. Now the next step is we need to change something like all over, right, from none to all. Like 1 second, guys. I have some throat issues. Where it is? Yeah. And now we need to change like slash etc http, and inside the conf directory we need to, there will be a file called httpd.conf. Inside this we need to change one attribute from like all over, right, from none to all. So let me search that. 1 second. Yeah, we need to change this all over, right, from none to all, because using .ht access, it enables you to configure website permissions without altering the web server configuration files. And that's it, guys. Now we just need to save this. And now we need to move to the this, whatever which is WordPress directory into the HTML directory. It's like move WordPress to where www.html. Yeah, we are doing this because it's the document. It's the by default. It is the document root directory of a web server. Whenever we try to access with the DNS public IP or whatever we are having, it will directly direct to everything related to Apache web server here to this directory. So we just need to copy the public IPv4 address and paste it in our browser. Now we can see that Apache web server is installed here. Then we will directly go inside the WordPress. Yeah, here we go. It is WordPress installation is setup is done, and so in order to, and again we are done with the connection of the WordPress to the private database which is lying in the Garbage account. So I think up
Santosh,
here you guys are done.
Santosh, sorry to interrupt, but can you please zoom in a bit?
Okay, I forgot to zoom this. I think this is enough. Else I won't be able to find where what present is. Arush,
Okay.
Okay, is this okay or should I zoom more? It will be okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So the work which is remaining is we need to convert. We need to connect with the private database which is lying in the Garvit account. So that we can achieve by using the VPC pairing. So we will head over to VPC. Routables. This is the root table which I have created for my VPC. Sorry guys, I just can't see, that's why I'm zooming out. Yeah, I just need to edit my root table. I'm just adding. Actually, Garvit has given me the CIDR address of his VPC prior to me. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. I just need to send the pairing request instead I head to the root table. Okay, no issues. For that, we need to send our pairing request to Garvit. Then he will accept the pairing request so that he will allow us to use his private database. Later, we will continue right from the WordPress where we left. So I'm just naming a webinar pairing. So VPC requester is someone I'm requesting Garvit to please accept pairing request. That's why we choose AWS Engage 1 as the VPC pairing requester, and we are pairing with the VPC which is lying in another account. So we will be going with another account, and I have the account ID of Garvit. And again, VPC ID of the acceptor. So this is his VPC ID. So just we need to click on the create pairing connection, and the connection request will be sent to him directly. And again, after Garvit accepting the pairing request and after adding the route from his account to my VPC, we will continue right from here. Garvit will take care of the rest. Over to you, Garvit.
Thank you, Santosh and Arush. That was a lovely presentation. Let me share my screen. Arush, tell me if my screen is shared. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Is my screen visible, Arush?
Yeah, completely visible. Please go ahead.
So I'll be in my AWS Management Console, and I'll be going into VPC. My VPC service, and as you have seen a moments back that Santosh sent me a VPC pairing connection. So I'll be going into my pairing connection, and I see that Santosh has sent me a pairing connection, and this is that pairing connection. So he has a requested CIDR of 13.0.0/16. So what I'll be doing is I'll be clicking on it, I'll take an action, and I'll just accept the request. So now we have now Santosh's VPC is paired with mine VPC. So now we can as technically, as in novice language, we can say that we two can speak with each other. So now I'll go into my route tables, and I'll take my route, and as you can see, I have to change this VPC ID. So what I'll be doing is I'll take this pairing connection, I'll copy it, and I'll go into my route table, and I'll just take this route and I'll edit my route table, and this is okay, and I'll just paste this route table here. As the status was black hole, so now it will be active after I save this route. It's active now. So now we have now Santosh's VPC can talk with mine. So now I'll be showing you about RDS. Give me a minute. So okay, it's the font. It's, so what's an Amazon RDS? So it's AWS RDS, Relational Database Service. So it's a managed database service for DB, for database that uses SQL as its query language. So it has, what do I mean by managed database service? So if you are a backend developer, you may know that you can create your own database by just installing a MySQL.
Garvit, sorry to interrupt. Please zoom in a bit.
What do I do?
Zoom in a bit your screen, please.
Okay. 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 Is it okay?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Okay. So, what's a managed database service? So many of backend developers may know that we can install MySQL server in our own laptop, and then we can connect to an application. So but there are two options that we can do it in AWS. So what we can do is, first is we can launch an EC2 instance, and we can install a MySQL server there, and then we can connect to our application. But if you may know that these these SQL engines have updates very often. They often update because of security issues or any other problem they face. So what managed database service means that you don't have to see that there are minor changes in your database agent and engine, and you have to just stop your database and then update your database and then restart your database. It may take some time, and for a big company it would be wasting a lot of money. Means for five sometimes for if a website goes down for 5 minutes, it creates a lot of havoc in that company. So for database, what RDS Amazon RDS will do is that it will create a synchronous with your another database, and for that point of time it is upgrading, it will shift to that database, and after upgrading it will just shift to the same database. So this happens a lot, and what we can do is we have many database engines in our AWS RDS. So let us look into it. So I'll be clicking on create database, and so we'll be going into a standard create. Easy create has best practice configurations, and it doesn't give you that much options that will be given in standard create. So we'll be going for a standard create, and so we have many engine here. You can see Amazon Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, Postgre, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. So you may have listened about these five engines, but Amazon Aurora is a AWS proprietary database. So it comes in two flavors. One is of MySQL and MariaDB. So you can install either one of those, as this is not a free tier eligible engine. So I'll be going into MySQL. So I'll just take a MySQL database, and I'll be using a MySQL community database, and the version will be 8.0.20. So the template will be not of production, it will be of free tier. So free tier does not gives us that much of features, as we can say. So in production what we have is we have high availability. So what high availability means is that your database will have a synchronous and asynchronous transfer between other databases. So if a number of users automatically increase, or it increases in a short span of time, so it will so that other database can also help the main database to help them with reads. So these are called read replicas there, and I'll go for a free tier here, and database identifier, I'll just name this database as uh, let me name it as AWS Engage. So AWS Engage database. So its name as AWS Engage database. The master. So the username will be admin, and the password. Let me specify one small password. Yeah. So I'll confirm my password. So DB instance class. So what DB instance class means is that you know that instance that engine we are using is MySQL, and it's a software. So what we want to say is that on which hardware will that engine work. So you can see there's a burstable type of class with T, that's a T class, and it's using T2 micro. So what it means that T2 micro will be the hardware on which our engine will be which our engine will be used, which our engine will be using. So it's a T2 micro. So what T2 micro is, a burstable class. So burstable class means that they give you they give you a good performance for a short period of time when workload increases. So we'll be using a T2 micro for now. It has 1 GB of RAM and one virtual CPU. So now I'll be going into my storage type. So what storage type means is that we'll be using an SSD for our database, and it will have 20 gigabytes of allocated storage for now on. Now storage auto scaling. So storage auto scaling means that if I enable this storage auto scaling, it means that if my 20 gigabytes of as I can say SSD fills, so it will give me more 1000 GB of what we can say is a GB of SSD. So I can minimum go to 21, or I can maximum go to 16,384. But for now, I'll just disable this. Okay? And availability and durability is not available in free tier. Okay, so now I'll be going into my virtual private cloud. So I want my database to be uh, accessible to Santosh's EC2 instance. So I'll be going into my VPC that's been paired with Santosh's VPC. So that's AWS Engage VPC. If I go here in my VPC, you can see there's a VPC. So this VPC is paired with Santosh's VPC. So this VPC, I'll be connecting to this VPC, and the subnet group, okay, it's default, and the public access. So following best practices, I'll not be using a public access, as you may all know that we don't want our database to be publicly facing. So what publicly facing means that um, when you connect to a application, you don't see their database. You just see an application web app, but the web app is talking to the database. You don't talk to database yourself. So it means that we can't access our database. So a normal user can't access your database. Only your application will be talking to your database. So will not be assigning a public IP. So it means so I'll just have a no here, and VPC security group. So I'll just give a VPC security group of default. uh, Availability zone, I'll have no preference over this. So it can be deployed either on AP South 1A or AP South 1B. And in additional configuration, so it's the port range. Many of MySQL applications and Amazon Aurora use a port of 3306 to connect to our database. So we don't we'll be using a 3306 port. Now comes to database authentication. So we'll be using a password authentication that we gave earlier. Um, Now I'll be going into additional configuration. So do I want an initial database name? So do I want to create a database there? Yes, I want to create. I'll just name it as Word WordPress DB. So it will be named as WordPress DB, and it will have a default MySQL 8.0 with the option group of default MySQL 8.0. These are all the versions, and enable automatic backup. So what automatic backup will do is that at a certain point in time, it will create a automatic backup of my database. So if I want that every day at 10 p.m. my database creates a backup, so it will create a snapshot of that database at that time, so that if something fails, so I can restore to that point in time. Yeah. And the backup retention period will be of 7 days. So up to 7 days, all the backups will be stored. And backup window, I can have no preference over this, or I can have a select window. So at 00 means at 12 a.m. at for 0.5 hours, the backup will be initialized. Yeah. So I'll have no preference, but I'll just disable the automated backup for now. Enable enhanced monitoring. So what enhanced monitoring means is that we are having a instance over our RDS, no, like we are having T2 micro, so it must have a CPU and it must have a RAM. So it will if I enable this enhanced monitoring, what it will do is that in my CloudWatch, it's a service of microservice of AWS. So in my CloudWatch, what it will do is that it will tell me all about my CPU and my threads, how they are working, and how much percentage of uh, how much percentage they have used. I can show you an example. Like I have eight core CPU, and they are showing all the percentage at which my CPU is working. So this will tell me about real time. It will tell me about all my CPU. And now I can go into my log export. So log exports mean that if something happens to my database, or error comes, or a general log or slow query log, so anything happens to my RDS, so it will be automatically go into my Amazon CloudWatch. So I don't want this also on also. And now, so the maintenance period. So what maintenance period does is that you may have heard about a couple of weeks back there was an vulnerability in OpenSSL in 0.9 version. What happened was there were 4 bugs, and those were very severe bugs. They so MySQL was using OpenSSL, and in minor bug fixes, many of the developers didn't know about that, and they were using AWS EC2, so they didn't upgrade it. So uh, what Amazon RDS does is that if they see that there is a minor version upgrade or a bug fix, they will automatically upgrade our MySQL database, so that we are not exposed to that vulnerability. Okay. And maintenance window. So I can specify a maintenance window at what time my Amazon RDS instance will be upgrading its engine. So I can select a window at Monday, on Monday at 00:12 a.m. For 0.5 hours, it will be upgrading itself. So I'll just disable it for now. Now, what enabled deletion protection does is that uh, suppose that by accident you clicked on your RDS and you right clicked on it, and then you clicked on delete. So your that RDS will automatically be deleted. So now you can't do anything about it, as you have said delete. So if I click on it, so if I enable it, what it will do is that um, if I click now I click on right click and then delete, but it will say that go into the settings of this RDS instance, and first disable this option. So it will give a security check to us. So for now I'll just not do this, and I'll disable this, and now I'll be creating my database. So as you can see, my database is being created. So it will take some time. If you have any question, Arush can tell me about those questions, and I can answer these. Arush?
Yeah, sure. If anyone of you have any queries, any doubts, you can post them on comment section. You can post your questions in the comment section, guys.
Okay, I think there are no questions, so I can go with EC2 instance for
Yeah,
that
sure.
time. Yeah, okay. So I have a instance running here on the same VPC. There are 2 instances running. I have to zoom out a little bit. Give me some time. Okay, so this is an instance. I'll be connecting to this instance. Let me zoom again. I'll connect to the instance through EC2 instance connect. And I'll connect this instance, and let me see if my database it's in creating status. So this so I can tell you more about EC2. So what's an EC2 instance? So EC2 instance, just like your computer, think of that you want a web server. So what you can do is you can deploy your web server in your PC also, but you can't open your PC for 24 into 7, so that it is available to public for 24 into 7. So what you will be doing is you will have an EC2 instance. So what EC2 instance will do is that it will run for 24 into 7 for you. No problem if anything happens to it. So um, you can deploy your any application into it, and it will run for a whole day or for the time you specified. I think RDS instance. Okay, it will take some time. It's been created. Okay. Arush, tell me if there's any question.
Yeah.
Is there any?
No, no, you can go ahead. I don't think they have any
Okay,
queries.
so I'll have to wait for the creation of this database, and what I can do in that meantime is I can super user privilege and I can install MySQL. That's why. So it's actually installed. Okay, okay, it's installed. Default. Okay, it's available now. So what I'll be doing is I'll be connecting to this uh, MySQL instance. So let me zoom out a little. I'll go there to this instance and I'll have this endpoint. I'll copy this endpoint. Uh, give me. Yeah, so what I'll be doing is MySQL minus h. Now I'll be pasting my endpoint, my RDS endpoint, and then I'll be giving minus u, and then I'll give my admin. This is my username for that database, and then I'll be providing password. So the password will be. Let me write my password. Okay, so I'm inside my database. So this database, AWS Engage DB. So I'm inside it. So what I can do is I can show databases. I can use databases. Yeah. So all these databases have been these are for MySQL use, and this is our database that we'll be using. So let me use this. Use Word uh, Press DB. So uh, I'll be using this. So I am inside my WordPress DB, and now let me show you tables. So as you can see, there's no table, but after Santosh completes his demo, we'll be seeing that there will be a lot more of tables here. So now I'll be providing speaker to Santosh. Thank you. Yes, just Santosh, over to you.
Thank you, Garvit, for the wonderful presentation. And yeah, Garvit has accepted the request. We can see now our peering connection is active. And now we can connect to a database which is lying in a private subnet by having a public IP. This is the example of VPC pairing. So first of all, we need to have a root to his VPC. Now root table. Let me add it. Sorry again, I didn't share my screen.
Santosh?
Yeah, I will zoom in. I'll zoom it. Yeah, we can see our connection, our peering connection is now active. So now all we need to do is just we need to add the root to his VPC in the root table. This is my root table for the VPC which I am using right now. I just let me edit this. This is insider address of Garbage VPC 12.0.0/16, and our target is peering connection, webinar peering. For just the confirmation, our status is active for the root. Close. Yeah. Again, we will try to connect to the public IP. Garvit, yeah, I got the endpoint of the database. Thank you. So our WordPress name is WordPress DB. And I will be logging as admin, and password is 129. It's being visible. And the database host will be the endpoint which is provided by Garvit right now. So I'm just clicking on submit. So first of all, we have added the root. So basically, if we didn't added the root earlier, so it would have shown something error like 504 gateway not found. So basically, it would continuously kept on loading. So as I had added the root in the root table to the VPC of Garvit, so the things will work quite nice. I think Garvit has not added the root in the VPC. Garvit, can you please confirm me whether you have added the root in your root table?
Actually, I have added the root in the VPC. Actually, the WordPress DB has a P as a capital. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Now it's working. Yeah. So it's working fine now. And what all we do is just install it. We need to proceed with the installation of WordPress, and just we need to copy this content, and we need to create a file called wp-config in our WordPress directory in our local system. So cat www.html wp-config. Just right click here, everything will be pasted. Click on the control D. Now just run the installation. So all the setup will be done. And now right now we are going to head to the WordPress dashboard. We are giving the title AWS Engage. Okay. I'm confirming I'm using the weak password. I'm just giving my email ID. Yeah. That's it, guys. Just we have installed the WordPress completely in that database as well. I'm going to log in with the credentials just provided. So we will be creating our first blog. It's just taking some time to load. Yeah, we'll give some title like AWS Cloud Community. And thank you guys for attending this webinar. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. Just publishing it, and I will share the link once the blog gets published. Copy link. Yeah, Arush, please share it in the YouTube chat so that the people can give some comments to our blog.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, someone just give me some comment, Garvit. Yeah, hey everyone. Hello, Garvit. Yeah, approve and reply. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Like I have approved the comment of Garvit as well. Like this is the installation of WordPress. We have connected to the private database, and we have made some blog for our first blog, and you guys made some comments. and Garvit will show the database again. Now it will contain the metadata, comments, everything related to our site, whatever we have created, and it will contain all these things. And once again, thanks for attending the session. Hope you guys enjoyed a lot. Thank you. Over to you, Garvit.
Uh, Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Arush. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So, Arush, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, your screen is visible.
Uh, Zoom it a little bit. So now, if you have seen that time, there were no tables that time. So now I'll be writing the same command here again, and so now all the tables have come here. So these are WP comment meta, WP comments. So it will contain all the comments and the user ID of those comments, and WP links. So these will contain all the users. So now let us go into one of the table. So I'll just write here select star from WP here is comments. So now as you can see, so it's pretty destructured because of the font and the font size. Okay, so as you can see, there's someone with yamiji24@gmail.com.
Yeah, Garvit, I am just approving more and more comments. Just people are
Yeah, yeah.
keep
So
commenting.
all those comments have so those all comments are going into a database that I have deployed, and they are going through Santosh's EC2 instance, which has WordPress installed in it. So we can see that someone is using Redmi Note 7 Pro, and we can see everything uh, that uh, that the user has provided us, and so these are all the comments we can see. So thank you. This was uh, over to you, Arush. Thank you.
Now let's have the Q&A session, guys. You can ask your doubts and queries regarding any topic you have got today. So yeah, we are ready for your questions. Okay, here we have our first question from engineer Ajay Sharma. So the question is how AWS is different from Oracle Cloud.
uh, Wonderful to connect you with you all one more time. So yeah, how AWS is different from Oracle Cloud? We have the same question that clouds are not different. They all have the same principle, like sharing their public resources to people, that can connect to those resources and can use them over the internet. But it all depends on that how is one provider providing in a different way than the other provider. For AWS, the main standpoint is, they have been in the game for a long time, and being in the game for a long time, they have, created a base where they have provided so much attention to each one of the customer, each one of the clients, that they stayed with them forever. So if you take Netflix, like the other legacy clients of AWS, so they provided attention to the clients. They provide that use case, proper use case to the clients, that they can deploy and make their architecture more efficient. So yeah, so I would say, and more on top of that, all the services provided by AWS also are on top notch, top level. So the services, the catalog of services provided by AWS is unmatched, right? So in this way, they have created a foundation, and you can say an empire for themselves, where they rule the cloud kingdom. All right. So I hope this answer your questions. Then we have somebody asking what to write in website. See, it depends as a coder what you want to showcase to the outside world, right? So we can create a web server, we can deploy a web server, but what content you need to provide on it, Mansi, it's completely dependent on your use case. For example, if I'm creating a banking website, so I'll have the features according to that, right? I'll have features for my client, like card numbers, transaction, this and that. Or for example, I'm creating some kind of shopping or e-commerce application or e-commerce website. So I can go for a website that will facilitate that kind of use case. Like I'll have catalog of products, I'll have the the checkout section, the all the payment section, and everything integrated to that. So it depends on what you want to deploy as a use case. So this is what you will write in the website. I hope this answers the question, right? So thank you so much, guys. You all love this session, and this means a lot to us, that we want to contribute to the community, and we want to share with you all and learn from you all as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Any more questions? If you have, please go ahead. We'll answer them right now. Can we host portfolio on AWS without domain? Without domain, I feel it's not possible. You can create a static website on S3. That might do, but for a portfolio, I'd suggest you go for a domain. If not purchasing a domain, you can get free domains. Try to go for that, and then you can use Route 53, where you can create a lot of routing policies for your domain. That is like when you have a lot of clients coming in to your website or to your domain, you can manipulate on that level. You'll be using Route 53. But for your portfolio, yeah, try to go for one paid domain, or there are a lot of free domains from education pack GitHub. As we are students, you can go for that .tech domains or .name.com domains. Also there are services such as Freenome that provides you free domain. But for your portfolio, I'd suggest you go for something like that, and then deploy it on AWS using Route 53, or deploy it, or you can create an S3 for a static. You can test with that. So yeah, so try out these things. I hope this answers your questions. So one more question we have: without coding, website create is possible? Yeah, we can. There might be some applications that will create you instant website. Like without coding, you can have websites like that. But I will say that if you want to create a proper website, you need to know coding. That is very important. Like for example, like JavaScript and all of that, you need to have it HTML, CSS basic, or you can go for PHP. And you need to have it. Like you need to have the knowledge to create an integrated deep website. There might be some application that will provide you a built up website, but if you want to learn, please go ahead and learn coding. That will help you a lot. Okay, so right, so yeah, Ajay has one more question. For organization with 200 users, which cloud service will best among private or hybrid cloud if you want to save more money? Okay, so first of all, I'd say that as you mentioned, hybrid cloud, it is a great use case that you just mentioned, that launching some applications or creating some infrastructure on your own premises database, and creating not only database, other resources on premises, and also going for a cloud, and deploying something on public cloud. So it all depends on your compliance. It all depends on your use case, how your company wants it to use, or organization wants it to use. With 200 user, which cloud service will best? Private, hybrid, I'll say AWS will be one of the best you can go for. But if you say like private, I think OpenStack is a good solution for private, because Red Hat OpenStack is a very good solution for private. You can try that. And also hybrid cloud, you can integrate OpenStack with AWS, and it will help you save a lot of money. It also depends on a use case, how you want to deploy it. So there are a lot of architecture which are cost efficient. We'll be covering that in subsequent webinars or subsequent sessions, how to build up cost efficient architecture, or a high performing, high availability architecture. So it all depends on that use cases. So you can go for something like OpenStack and AWS for that hybrid setup. I hope this answers your question, Ajay. Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot that you are appreciating the team, SB. we try to contribute with our team, and we all have that same vision of sharing it with the community. So thank you all. Sunena, yeah, CSS, HTML, PHP, right? These are one of the basic core you need to know. Also JavaScript you can add on top of that, to integrate your and build up your coding profile. Yeah, thank you so much, Nilesh. Yeah, thank you, Ajay. You're welcome. Yeah, any more questions? Any more questions? Thank you, Shivam. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Shirajul. Thank you, Shivendra. Thank you so much. Any more questions? If you have, please ask them so that we can answer them live right now. Thank you, Himanshu. Thank you, Sami. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Himanshu. Welcome. Thank you. Any more question? Thank you, Harsh. Thank you so much. How can we join our team? Okay, so we are currently we had one of the recruitment procedure recently, so we'll be once again having the recruitment procedure, and once we have that procedure, we'll go ahead and share that link, and you all can join. Also, we'll put up an announcement. Please keep on checking the announcement, LPU AWS UMS announcement. So we'll be putting up there as well. And also we'll float some feedback form there. You can join our community, stay in touch with us with the Telegram group, the WhatsApp group, and through all our social media presence. You can stay in touch with us for WhatsApp, where we communicate daily. No worries. If you are in first year, no worries, Mansi. We are looking for freshers, and we are looking for enthusiasts, young enthusiasts who want to join the team. So yeah, look out for the announcement and join our Telegram channel, join our WhatsApp group, so that we can stay in touch. We can share all the resources, and also whenever we have some recruitment procedure, which we'll have shortly, you all can take part and be a part of the team. Same for I think Amit, same for you as well. Please stay in touch through the channels, the group. We will share it the feedback form. Please go through that and stay connected with us, and whenever some opportunity comes, please come ahead and fill that, right? Sunena will just be sharing the links soon. Once we share the feedback form, all the links are provided there, and we'll share it right now itself. All right. Okay. So I'm the alumni of LPU. Can I also join your team? Okay, Ajay, wonderful that you're alumni of LPU, and let us see. We need to have some discussion. We haven't planned that. We can it is just students as of now. But definitely, if you're interested and see that you share the same vision, you can definitely be a part of the team. It doesn't matter whatever. You can be alumni, you can be a fresher, or it doesn't matter for us really, because we are seeking people who are in the same pathway, same vision, and want to contribute to the community. So if you share the same vision, you are more than welcome to the team. We'll communicate with you. Thank you. Please fill the feedback form and connect with us over Telegram, WhatsApp, so that we can connect with you all. All right. So yeah, Anjali, thank you so much, and welcome. Thank you. How we get certificate? Okay, Aditya, I hope you have registered for AWS Engage. If you have registered, you just need to fill in the feedback form that we'll provide just now, and then we'll share the e-certificate AWS powered by AWS Educate soon, within a few days via mail. All right. So any AWS related question, folks, just like you learned so much today, any kind of AWS related questions that you have in your mind, that how it is happening, how if you have some questions like this, please put them up. We shall discuss, right? Yeah, Shivendra will just soon share the link for feedback form. Soon we'll share it, right? So it was a great, wonderful session connecting with you all. We are a community of LPU, and we want to communicate and connect with students of LPU. So it was a great session for us. I hope it was for you as well. So yeah, any questions or any challenge that you face? And also I would this session would be provided on YouTube. So try to go through this and try to build your own projects regarding WordPress. You can choose another front end web app or website, and build RDS database on the back end, and create something and put that on your CV, and yeah, and deploy your own infrastructure. That will help you a lot. Okay. Sirajul has one question. Can you share some resources on AWS Cloud on WhatsApp group? Yeah, we will definitely share it. Also, yeah, you need to be part of the WhatsApp group. We will definitely share it. Also, I'll just show you one thing that I'll just share the link right now itself with the feedback form, where AWS Educate have provided an entire catalog of free resources where you can go through. Also, please join the community presence wherever they are, so that we can stay in touch with you all, and we can share whatever resources, whatever opportunities comes our way. All right. Yeah, so any more questions, please float them so that we can discuss. Just 1 or 2 more minutes, and we shall go for the closing session. Any more questions, please? Please float them on the chat related to AWS, related to our community. Any personal questions that you have related to your cloud journey, you can share it. All right. So I feel this is it. It was a enthralling and a wonderful, delightful session for us as community members. And I want to speak on behalf of the community. We try to find opportunities like this where we can communicate, with our members, so that we can create a bond among ourselves, and we can move and grow forward and grow together. So thank you so much for joining, and we will soon be creating events like this, and with more opportunities, and we will have more announcements, which are very exciting announcements coming your way. So yeah, so please stay tuned for more, and connect with us, so that we all can share and learn and grow together. All right. So thank you so much, guys. Have a good night, all of you, and honored to share this moment with you all. Thank you so much. We will share this to Ashutosh now. We'll be taking it forward. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rajit. And Aras, thank you so much. And I hope that you all enjoyed the session. If I talk about my experience, it was really an amazing session. I got to learn about cloud computing. Apart from that, I got introduced to AWS VPC, EC2, RDS. In addition to all those, I learned VPC Pairing and learned how to work with RDS connectivity. I hope the learning session between me and you people got hand in hand. Thank you so much to our beloved speakers of today's session, Mr. Rajit, Santosh, Garvit, and Christina, for making us aware about what is AWS and how we can deal with the different platforms available at AWS. I would like to thank my co-host, Brahmajit and Arush, for the smooth conduct of the session. I would especially like to thank Harnit ma'am, the faculty facilitator, AWS Cloud Community LPU, for joining us and guiding the students in the chat section for clearing their doubts. I would especially like to thank each and every member of the AWS Cloud Community LPU and all the members who joined the live session for this amazing webinar. Now, there is a big announcement coming ahead for you, but before that, I would like to request my team to kindly drop the feedback link in the chat. Thank you so much, team. And I would like to request all the attendees to kindly fill the feedback form as soon as possible, because it will stop accepting the responses within 10 minutes. So fill the form at the earliest possible, and those people who will be filling the form will be getting the certificates. Now, moving ahead towards the bigger announcement, I'm delighted to share that AWS Cloud Community LPU is soon coming up with a mega AWS Summit, where you will be witnessing industry experts joining the session and guiding us with their experience and demonstrating the various AWS tools. Further details about the summit will be shared soon, so till then stay tuned with AWS Cloud Community. You can reach out to us on all our social media handles. I would like to request my team to kindly share the link tree so that the people can join us. People can join us on all of our social media handles. Team, kindly share it in the chat section. Thank you so much. Now, moving ahead towards the end of the session, I would like to request all the members to kindly stay at home, wear masks, and maintain social distancing because corona is rising rapidly. Take good care of your health and stay tuned with AWS Cloud Community LPU for the upcoming webinars and summit at the peak. This is your host, Astush Mahapatra, signing off from today's session. Thank you so much.